This is Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance inside the Tennessee State Capitol. We are joined by Glen Casada. He is the GOP Caucus chair, and you've been in this august body for about 14 years. A lot of changes over the last 14 years, including the ascension of the Republican Party to dominance. Give me a sense of the hopes, dreams, aspirations of your caucus.
Yes, and as you know, there's a state shifted to Republicans, the legislature, and the Republicans are in supermajority now in the General Assembly, and our primary goal is to be fiscally conservative and try to let government do its basic functions, but concurrently stay out of the affairs of the individual and businesses, so that businesses can prosper, individuals can keep more of their money, their hard-earned money, raise their families, create jobs, and create wealth.
Let's talk about one area that aligns with those goals, and that is the desire to reform what is known as the Hall income tax.
Yes.
It's an arcane tax. It's been around since 1929,
Yes.
and it focuses exclusively on the taxation of stock dividends and bond interest. Of course, no income tax otherwise in Tennessee. And so there's been a lot of discussion, some changes at the margins. But now there seems to be a more concerted effort to really look at Hall. Give us a sense of where the caucus is.
Very, very strongly, we are committed to reducing and then eliminating the Hall's tax. The Hall's tax hurts those, especially seniors that have spent their life savings, are now in retirement, they're living off their dividends, and that is the very group we're taxing. It also is a deterrent in that those that are retired tend to leave the state. And it keeps those.
They leave beautiful Tennessee.
Why
would they leave beautiful Tennessee? Where are they going?
It's always about the money.
I was going to say.
It's always about the money.
But Tennessee's a relatively low tax state.
We are.
But is it just because, look, we all know when we retire, oftentimes we're living off of stocks and bonds. And so is that what's happening here?
It is. And concurrently, it deters people that are retired from moving to Tennessee. And that's a population you want in your state.
Indeed.
They require very little services, and they bring a lot of capital with them.
So there have been several proposals floating around. There's been the proposal by Senator Mark Green, who's looking to cut the tax on a more, I guess, slower basis, trying to see if we can phase it out. Of course, House Finance Chair Charles Sargent is looking at a similar bill with maybe an immediate cut. The Majority Leader is looking to end the tax completely in 2017. Lots of ideas. The governor's a little nervous, though, and one could understand because, look, in the final analysis, if you eliminate this tax, you are doing that for all future General Assemblies.
That's exactly right.
Where are you?
I strongly support doing away with it, and I think what's the compromise that will come out of the governor's office, the Senate, and the House is we're going to do it in about a 6-year increments. Every year, take 1/6 off until it's eliminated.
But what about, at the same time, the impact on local government? Because as you know, local government, I believe, gets about, is it 3/8? Is that the number?
That is,
3/8
yes, it is.
Of the Hall tax. And so it causes some nerves. I mean, I'm sure you know that. And so there are proposals floating around, maybe allow locals to ask their voters, can we continue our portion of the Hall tax? Or a hold harmless provision where the state would have money flow even if Hall's eliminated. What's your sense there?
And all those things are on the table to be discussed. With that said, it'll be very beneficial to local governments to have more retirees move into the state and move into their community. And so at the end of the day, the greater good is that. But we'll listen to their concerns as we move the legislation forward.
Do you have a sense as to whether we will see some bona fide movement on Hall in the coming months? Look, we've seen movement in the past. There have been some changes, but something that's much more significant.
In the 2 previous years, you've seen bites taken from the apple.
Well stated.
And you'll see another movement this year. And so, yes, you will see another bite of the apple on the Hall's tax again this year.
I want to shift gears, if I may, and talk about another element that is part of the reform agenda of the current General Assembly, and that focuses upon education. It's complicated. It deals with the basic education plan. But suffice it to say, your county of Williamson is right in the thick of it.
Yes, it is.
You're not suing like Hamilton,
yes.
but you may be.
Yes.
You may be soon.
Yes.
And so I do think it important that we try to at least parse it out a bit.
Yes.
And I want to get a sense from you, what shall we do with how we fund education? Because right now, you know better than I, there are these two formulas that we look at, and one formula may prefer smaller districts over another.
Yeah. The BEP formula is a very complicated formula with, I think, upwards to 14 different factors that determine what a county gets. I've often kiddingly said only God himself understands the formula of that.
And we don't know if he or she does.
That's exactly right, and I wouldn't bet on that.
Exactly.
But funding education fairly and equitably is very important to the state. But concurrently, we don't want to harm those counties that are willing to belly up and pay for education.
But what's frustrating for so many, whatever side of the issue you're on, is we thought back in 2007 we had a new formula, we were in good shape. We were going to move to this University of Tennessee formula. Ultimately, that kind of happened. Partially funded and
it.
So, but now we're kind of in a dual reality where we still have the old formula. I guess it's the CDF, but we still have this UT formula.
Yes, and don't forget the governor has rolled out his version of funding for schools this year, and he feels very strongly, and I'm about there, that it is more equitable and would be better overall for the state of Tennessee for all school districts.
Now, I find one proposal fascinating, and that's of your colleague, Representative Bill Dunn.
Yes.
And I think you know where I'm going.
Yes.
He has discussed essentially a court stripping mechanism.
Yes.
Where the courts would no longer be permitted to look at the question of funding, but only on the element of adequacy.
Right.
Not on the element of equity.
Right.
It's a little inside baseball, but it's important to consider.
It is very important. Bill is a very bright individual. He's thought long and hard about this. And our concern is that, as in other states, a judge, unelected, unaccountable, would mandate from the bench certain things must be done, must be paid for, which would trigger a massive tax increase.
Right, and that's what he has said.
Yes.
But so the court, in our minds, they couldn't demand a tax increase, but the import of their ruling.
That's right.
But does it make you nervous that the legislature would start picking and choosing where a court can make decisions? That could be a slippery slope.
You know, and that's a fair debate. Our founders were very specific that the superior body in our republic was the legislative because it's elected by the people.
So what do you make of this possibility? Do you think we can get to a place? I mean, I'm not sure. Are you in favor of Mr. Dunn's
I do
proposal?
favor. I think it's a brilliant move to preserve the integrity of the legislative body.
So what happens? Do we then need to go to the voters to ask them to approve?
That's exactly right. This General Assembly, it'll pass by a simple majority by the legislative bodies, House and Senate.
To get to the ballot.
And then next, the 110th, then it must pass by 2/3.
To get to the ballot.
To get to the ballot.
Wow.
At the next gubernatorial election.
So what's your sense? I mean, this is a dramatic move.
It is a dramatic move. Yes, it is.
Is it needed? I mean, look, I'm just going to play the devil's advocate. I mean, can we get to a place where it's not even needed?
Yeah. You know, the judiciary over the last 20 years has really asserted itself over the legislative body.
Right.
And this is a response to previous judiciary activism.
Because we know in 1993, I guess, that's what triggered the BEP.
It did.
The Tennessee Supreme Court said, hold on. And
you're not in compliance with the Constitution.
So where are the voters?
This is going to be difficult to explain because it's just foreign. Yeah. I'm not saying they're for it or against it. We've got to do a good job of selling it, presenting it.
His name is Glen Casada. He is the GOP Caucus chair here in the Tennessee House of Representatives. My name is Brad Pomerance. This is Charter Local Edition.